Before we go too far today, I wanted to talk a little bit about timing in general terms and the shuttle in specific terms. All right, this is the shuttle for that 15-91. Now, I know a lot of people call it the hook, and I know occasionally I am guilty of that myself. But technically, this is the shuttle. This portion of the shuttle right here, this little pointed part, that is in fact the hook. So, other things you need to know about the shuttle. This stud right here is where the bobbin case connects. Once you have a threaded bobbin, I'm going to leave the bobbin out of it, into the bobbin case, the bobbin case will clip onto and lock in to the shuttle. And the shuttle will go by. The bobbin case will be oriented approximately like this. As the needle comes down, the shuttle is moving, and as it starts to go back up, at a certain portion of its upward stroke, the point of the hook is going to come by the needle and grab the upper thread and swing it around. It goes to about here, where that thread will drop off and will literally go all the way around the bobbin case as the shuttle is going back in the other direction, and then the take-up arm is pulling up, and that's what makes the lock stitch. So it's real simple. So what do we mean by in time? Well, let's pretend for a moment that my dental tool here is the sewing machine needle. And what will happen is, as the needle will come down with the thread, and as it will hit its lowest point, and as it's coming up a little bit, it's going to make a little loop of thread, and it's a minuscule loop, and the point of the shuttle will come by and grab that and pull it around. Correct timing is achieved when the point of the hook is approximately 1/16 of an inch above the top of the eye of the needle. And approximately is the operative word. That is the word that Singer uses in their manuals. Approximately. But first, before we can talk about the actual timing, we need to talk about the timing marks. As many of you may have noticed, when we were disassembling and reassembling this machine, I did not pull out the main shaft, nor did I remove this bushing tube right here. This bushing tube is what the needle bar rides in. Now, it is a specific length, and it is put in a specific location for a very good reason. In addition to guiding the needle bar, the bottom of this tube is also the indicator for the two timing marks that are on the needle bar that are shown right here. Okay, now I've loosened the needle bar in the clamp so I can move it up and down thusly. With the needle bar at the bottom of its stroke, with the mechanism at the bottom of its stroke, we want this upper line to be even with the bottom of that bushing tube. So we get it in position there. You get a screwdriver in the back, and I'm going to snug that up really well. Okay, there we go. So now it's snugged up. Now let me go ahead, and I'm going to insert a needle in this machine. I'm going to go ahead and use my Dritz needle threader / needle inserter. If you guys don't have one of these things, I would get one. They're about $8. They're a little more expensive than they should be for a couple of pieces of plastic with a spring. But here's what's cool about it. You see this little D-shaped hole? Well, that fits perfectly with the D shape, the overall D shape of sewing machine needle, or at least a domestic sewing machine needle. So you put the flat in so that it's at the flat part of the D. Now, with the needle bar up, we can loosen, we can orient our needle in the correct way, get our flat oriented in the correct way, and go ahead and screw down, and then just pop that right out. And just make sure it's up all the way and then tighten it. And we've got our needle inserted correctly with the flat where it belongs, which I know can be a challenge for some people to do. Now that our needle is in the machine, I'm going to turn the balance wheel in its normal direction all the way through. And now we're at the bottom of the stroke, and I'm going to continue turning, and I'm going to bring it up so that this mark is even with the bottom of the bushing. And that is lining up our timing mark. That bottom mark is in fact our timing mark. So there we go. We've got it evened up. Now let's take a look at the shuttle/hook. Okay, for clarity's sake, I went ahead and I removed the bob and case positioning bracket. It's held in place with 2 screws, one here and one back there. Easy enough to do. All right, we have moved the needle bar to the timed position, and we can see that yes, in fact, the point of our hook, well, let's spin this around a little maybe to show you. You can see how the shuttle moves in the race on these 15 classes. This is obviously an oscillating shuttle machine. All right, so if we move the needle bar back up into the timed position, boom, there we are. The mark is lined up, and if we look, we see that the point of the hook is in line, directly in line with the needle. So all is well with the world, right? Well, yeah, provided that the needle bar height is correct. Let me move the camera angle and I'll show you what's going on with that. Now I'm going to have to move the needle a little bit, the needle bar, so you can see what's going on here. We see here that that's the point of the hook, and we see here that's the eye of the needle. So let's bring her around again into timed position, bottom of the stroke, and we come up and boom, it's in time. Now we want to see the relationship between the point of the hook and the top of the eye of the needle. This to me, which I know it's difficult to see from where you're sitting, but this to me looks like the needle bar is slightly low. Kind of difficult to tell, I know. Let me do a digital zoom in. Now if you look at that, you'll see that in fact it does look like the top of the eye of the needle is about a 1/16 of an inch. I know you've got nothing for scale, but about a 1/16 of an inch. So let me get something in here that's got a quote-unquote scale on it. Now this has 2 divisions on this is a 1/16 of an inch. This is in 30/2 of an inch here. All right, so 2 divisions here, that's actually a 1/16. And let's get, there we go, get some more light. Actually, let me throw a little bit more light on this if I can. And you'll see here that, yeah, it looks like the point of the needle is, in fact, about a 1/16 of an inch from the top of this. The point of the hook is, in fact, about a 1/16 of an inch above the top of the eye of the needle. Now, the word here that Singer used in their manuals is approximately. And approximately is the magic word for this. Singer didn't come up with a hard and fast number. So what you have to consider more than anything else is not just what the actual physical positions and the physical numbers are, but what the stitch looks like. So when we get this whole thing together, we'll make our determination based on the stitch. We know the timing is going to be essentially correct. It looks like it's going to be fine. We know the needle bar height is going to be fine. So this machine should be okay. Okay, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to put the bob and case positioning bracket back on this machine. I've got some other things I need to do as far as reassembly goes. But it's nothing you guys haven't seen before. So when I bring you back next, I'm going to have this mounted in a temporary base, and I'm not going to have this machine's specific motor. I'm going to take a generic potted motor that I keep around for just such an emergency, and we'll come back and we'll take a look at what her test stitches look like. I do these videos pretty much off the cuff. I rarely ever write a script. Actually, I think the most I ever come to writing a script is making notes for the Q&A and Sunday Morning Quickies. But, so a lot of times I go back while I'm in post-production and I think of something and I'm like, oh crap, I got to talk about that. So I know I can see the questions now. Bob, how come on a 66 or a 99 I have screws I can loosen and I can move the shuttle, or I can move the hook and get things lined up? Why don't I have that on a 15? Excellent question. You'll note when we took this apart that I removed a pin here to get this oscillating shuttle shaft out, the center shaft out. And also that the shuttle driver is pinned on this side. The timing is essentially factory set on these 15 class machines. Now when I say 15 class, I'm talking about the straight stitch only. There's a lot of different 15 class machines, and 15 class machines are still being made. But when I'm referring to the timing is fixed on a 15, I'm talking about the classic black cast iron singers that are straight stitch only, and it's straight through. It's not, there's no gearbox where things are turned at a right angle so that the bobbin is facing the operator. So the shuttle, the bobbin case is on the side. These machines here, it's pinned in place at the driving arm and at the shuttle driver. Now, many shuttle drivers, replacement ones, have set screws. And it's a surefire way to know that if your 15-whatever, if it has a shuttle driver with set screws on it, somebody damaged the shuttle driver at some point and put a new one on, especially on these older 15s. However, having said that, if you've got all the original parts from the factory, these are, focus, come on, thank you. These are all factory set for the timing. So there's not much adjustment you can make on the timing, with the exception of changing the needle bar height and hoping that everything is coming up at the right point. But these are pretty well consistent throughout. Now, a 15-30 uses a different bobbin case and it threads differently than the -88, 89, 90, 91, 96, 125, blah, 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 all the 11 o'clock bobbin cases. Those thread differently than the 1 o'clock bobbin cases. So that's just something to remember. But yeah, that's why you don't have screws to adjust the timing, is because it was factory set and it's pinned in place. There you go. That's what I've got for this episode. This episode's a little shorter than the other ones were. But I did want to discuss timing and needle bar position on 15 classes, because I don't know if I've spent enough time talking about that in the past. But anyway, that's what I've got for you on this episode. Thank you so much for watching. And when we come back, we'll work on her wiring and button her back up and see some stitches. So thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.